Good morning. Welcome to EOS Town Hall. This is April 28th. It's been kind of a quiet week over here in LA. Happy that we're heading into May, and that means one more month to Block 1 June. Today at Town Hall, we wanted to talk just a little bit about some of the world relating to stable tokens and stable coins. Dan Larimer launched a paper not too long ago talking about the high liquidity price paid token algorithm. This was actually yesterday, and it's caused a little bit of confusion. We also wanted to just talk, I think, about the general space of stable tokens in the EOS economy, seeing what's going on. So welcoming Kedar here with me as usual. How's it going, Kedar?
It's going good.
Good.
Got a couple things to talk about.
Yeah, I mean this and maybe a little bit of Prediqt.
Yeah.
So yeah, you brought this up to me recently about the stable token. What were your first thoughts on this? I'm really just diving into this now, and there's a lot to unpack. What are your current thoughts? I know you guys had we've worked a little bit on a system looking like make or die. Make or dies have been an interesting system, and that's relatively held a good stable asset on the Ethereum blockchain. How did this strike you?
So background is we have an entire arm of our company dedicated to stablecoins called Decentral Bank, where we do nothing but stablecoins and cryptocurrency related activities. So this really intrigued us from that standpoint. This one particularly, though, my first thought was just pure confusion, and I think everybody had the exact same reaction to it because there was all sorts of, I don't know, there was a simple way of explaining this, and the way the article was laid out was not that simple way.
Yeah.
So I think from what I got out of it, it seems like it's just similar to DAI. It's an over-collateralized position, but then you allow trading in the middle that allows traders to kind of arbitrage the price back down to $1 and use a price feed as like a kind of holder of last resort, so that if the price ever deviates significantly from the price feed, there's actions the trading algorithm can take to bring the price back to the parity, the dollar parity.
Yeah. He launched this out of Telegram, I believe. Did he talk about a timeline that this was going to be implemented in?
He put out sample code yesterday. He released this article 2 days ago, and then he put out sample code yesterday. I don't know what that means in terms of actually getting it out. We've been thinking about just taking a sample code, expanding it out into a real product, and releasing it in the next month or so.
Yeah.
Something we do.
Yeah, definitely an interesting concept. I'd heard of others. This actually sounds a little bit like some of the others. Other people I had talked to with basically stabilizing into a US dollar, any token. It's kind of that same thing.
This sounds like this might have been that idea.
Yeah. And so this would ultimately be a method or a procedure. Maybe we'll see, just like we did with the original Bancor algorithm, if everyone's able to see some stability out of this. Maybe you see markets that just cross the entire spectrum, are able to create some sort of stabilization into a USD. Who knows? The volatility though is assuming what's the peg? It's you have to hold is it 3x the amount of EOS?
Yeah, it says you put in every 4 EOS you put in, 1 gets put into the Bancor connector.
Yeah.
And then 3 get set aside as collateral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's assuming our volatility doesn't bring us down to $1 anytime.
I guess it means we can't go below a 75% drop in like 48 hours. Is what it's like.
Right. Exactly. So,
which I don't know how reasonable that is.
Hey, what happens if it goes the opposite way? If we get the double, when people are going to go in and just, I wonder if the cells on the MMS would.
I think if it goes the other way, it's totally fine, from what I'm thinking. Yeah, because then you're more over collateralized, if anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely going to be interesting. I'm glad to see Dan working on projects like this. I don't know what that does to the other, the Everpedia and a LibertyBlock solution that was being planned out, but it's nice to see that progress is being made.
We could always just switch to this.
This is make this a marketplace for all tokens. It's kind of an interesting thing. Maybe someone is wanting to hold their. it's only over 48 hours. Do you have to, if say you drop 50% in your collateralization over a 48-hour period, is there a requirement to go put more in to re-stabilize that?
I didn't see anything about recollateralizing the position. It just seemed like they were selling collateral to match the position, and they were hoping kind of that. I don't know. It seemed to me like they were just counting on the fact that the arbitrageurs would bring the price back down to equilibrium way faster than you would ever require to actually. So they were counting on the fact that you would never actually have to pull this collateral out. That seemed to be what it was going off to me.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting if we start to if you see this working and you start to see other tokens to where this is and you have the possibility of doing this in a much larger market. Yeah, just interesting concept, man.
Yeah.
Speaking of interesting, we had Prediqt and all the papers for Prediqt go out this last week.
Yeah,
what's been the response? How people have been looking forward to that? Where are we at with the project?
The project's looking, so the project is, we just put the white paper out right now, but we've been coding on it for like 2 months right now. So we have a front end almost ready to go. The back end is complete. We have contracts ready to go. We haven't released them. I know, we're going to open source all of this eventually, but we don't trust anybody to not just steal this thing and rip it off in the next couple of weeks. So we're holding it tight until the actual release. And once we release it and we have a product out, we'll open source the contracts as well. But the code's actually done for the back end. Done with the back end code. We're almost done with the front end code. We're basically just bug testing. Maybe in the next month we can have like a beta version out, and we're still targeting like a primary release in June.
Boy, you know what? I would love to see a Prediqt market on what the announcements are going to be for Block 1.
We were actually thinking about having that be our initial market. Like the first thing, we have that, and we were going to do a Game of Thrones finale. Like that's coming up in like 3 weeks, right? Some sort of market based around the Game of Thrones finale. So we're thinking about having maybe those two things.
That sounds like a lot of fun, man. Yeah. So what's the market response? I know people don't always look towards it, but how have people been taking Prediqt and understanding the value of their IQ? Have people been looking at that, and has it helped you guys out along in this on the valuation side for IQ tokens, or is it not yet affected?
It hasn't yet affected the price. The IQ token still seems to be majority influenced by the broader crypto market.
Yeah, of course.
So when we had the big dip in the alts last week, we dipped right along with it.
Sure.
We have some random pumps that come out from, like, there was actually an initial pump. It looked like the price was going to go up because of this Prediqt announcement. And then when the market turned, it just got flattened out.
Right with it. Right. Yeah. So Prediqt itself, you're expecting within the next month we'll have a beta.
Yeah.
Ultimately, this is going to be a prediction market similar to Augur. What are we going to see along in this the Prediqt market that we wouldn't see in Augur?
We're not going to have rep tokens, and we're not going to have this decentralized consensus method. What we're going to go with is we're using multi-sigs. So the one advantage we have is that the EOS permission system is far more robust than anything we have on Ethereum. So we're going to have markets be resolved by, basically what we're looking for is hopefully maybe some sort of DAC of some kind. EOS DAC already exists. Now that could be cool. But it could just be like a multi-sig with multiple block producers or something like that. If you had 3 or 4 block producers, there's an incentive. The resolver receives a percentage of trading fees in the market. So we just need 3 or 4 trusted entities. I know that sounds kind of off from the whole crypto ethos, but I think it's the best way to go is to have people with their reputation on the line resolving these markets. Because what we've seen with Augur, the main issue with Augur is right now, if you go on the Augur site, about 60 to 70% of the top markets are scams. And the scam is built in a way where you put out a market that looks very close to legitimate, but you put one little piece of wording that would declare the market invalid. So you'd say something like, will the price of EOS be above $1 at 2400 UTC June 31st? And the answer to that for most people is like, obviously yes. So what you do as the scammer is you start taking the opposite side of every one of those positions. So they would be paying, the market's trading at like 70, 80% yes for that. But you as the scammer, you take the opposite side. Now what you do is you submit a claim to the rep token holders that that the market should be declared invalid because 2400 UTC is not a real time. It should be 0100 UTC, that's the real time. And the problem with the rep token holders is it's a token that's held by people, so it can be gamed. So what these scammers are doing is, one, the rep token holders are just inundated by constant claims, so they don't know, they're not all participating in every one of these market resolutions that's supposed to be decentralized. And I think these scammers actually own a lot of rep tokens as well. So through that, they're declaring the market invalid. And when the market gets declared invalid, it gets split 50-50, the money in the market. So you're just running like, you're just taking, so everybody who goes on the site, you look at, you're like, oh, this is an easy win for me. 70, EOS above $1 in a month, easy, I'll take that. You don't know is that it's actually a scam and you're going to end up only getting half your money back.
Sweet. That sounds like a fun way to go steal some Augur.
Yeah.
I think we should set up some teams for that and just play and participate.
Lucrative market.
Right. Yeah. So you're going to get away, you're going to try to move away from that by having better oracles that are going to be a certain number of, let's just call them, oracle producers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LibertyBlock's going to be one.
Right.
Yeah. Anybody all the friends of the community.
Yeah.
Being in board.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then let's just say that, put a similar path forward. If you start seeing people that are going to try to do, what happens in the resolution of a market if it's declared invalid?
We're doing the same thing, split 50-50. I can't.
So where is the resolution here rather than the game that will occur? Is it that
the backstop? There is no backstop resolution. So there is no, oh, hey, I don't like the way the oracles resolve the market. I want to go contest the result. There's no contesting the result under our system. The oracles are the final say. If they resolve it wrong, the market gets resolved improperly. So one of the options the oracles have is to declare a market invalid. But we're trusting the fact that someone like LibertyBlock is never going to resolve a market improperly. We're not going to try and pull some BS and declare a market invalid because we have our reputation online. Sure. And we would lose all our block fees.
Yeah. What would happen then? A similar type of thing. Say somebody puts up a market at 2400 UTC, which is an invalid time. Mm-hmm. Somebody lets that slip through in the beginning. For me, that sort of thing where you're posting an invalid response, it would seem to me the best response for that would be return all the originating tokens to the originating members. Why is that going to then be that split again? Because
the moment you return existing money to the token holders, the shares themselves in the market become non-fungible. So you can't trade them on an open market outside of the Prediqt algorithm. So if I were to take these shares, we were both own shares, you bought yours at 30 and I bought mine at 50, they would have different market values if we tried to sell them on a secondary market. Because in the case of an invalid market, I would get more money back to you. So that's the reason we had to go with the 50-50 split. Otherwise, we end up with non-fungible shares.
So then what is there to block the same situation that happens in Augur?
For our front end, we're going to aggressively prune anyone that looks even moderately invalid. And we're going to make people, we're going to display who the resolvers are for a market very prominently. So we're going to tell you that if you don't recognize the exact resolver of the market, don't trust the market. And in fact, on our front end, if it's not a group of resolvers that we've reached, if we can't contact you directly, get you on a phone call and be like, hey, I see that you're the resolver of this market. We want to know more about you so that we can be more confident in your ability to resolve the market. On our front end, there's going to be multiple front ends, but on our front end, we're just not going to display your market. So we're going to be very aggressive in only displaying the markets that we consider to be trustworthy. And then other front ends are free to, put up scam markets or whatever, but we're going to, you have to trust that front end as well.
Okay. The reputation of those that present the market itself, that's something that you guys are going to be weighing. If I've launched 3 scam markets beforehand, if I've launched 3 that are unresolved beforehand, perhaps I shouldn't be able to launch a 4th.
That's something we were considering. In the end, though, it's only the resolvers can really make a difference in whether a market ends up being a scam or not. So we're going to list the reputation scores of people that have, we're going to list how many properly resolved markets a market creator has had before. We're not going to explicitly bar anyone on the platform. Also because it's not Sybil resistant, somebody can just pick up another account.
Yeah. But me as someone who's participating in the markets might not choose to go with someone unless somebody's resolved multiple ones beforehand.
Yeah, so we're going to display that prominently. We're going to tell you how many markets the resolver has resolved properly and how many markets the creator of the market has successfully run before.
Cool. When is the expected first? So you said in beta during the next 3 to 4 weeks?
Yeah, next 3 to 4 weeks we'll have a beta out. We might just have one active market, something like the B1 thing or Game of Thrones, something like that. We'll just have one market. We'll test everything, make sure it works. And then we'll start opening it up to eventually not just eventually, but on the main release, it's going to be an open protocol that anybody can create markets for.
Cool. Cool. Then anything else? What else is going on in EOS right now? Anything crazy this week?
Rex is up for vote.
Up for vote.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. What do you think is going to be the effect of that on like the overall ecosystem?
I don't think it's going to be that great. It's going to be okay. It's just another one of those things that I think that I'm glad it's coming to EOS first. I'm glad that we're going to have some experimentation with it, but hopefully we'll get some more hodlers out of it is the expectation.
Yeah. More people holding their own coins instead of holding on the exchange.
Exactly. Potentially. I think that the people have become way too comfortable with holding things on exchanges. Hopefully over the next year or two, we'll get better non-custodial exchanges that people will feel comfortable with.
Okay.
I'm glad that we're starting to finally see some hardware wallets that support EOS. So people can kind of get a little bit more comfortable with those things. You know how much work that we've been putting into hardware wallets over here. So, I think that some of those hardware wallets will start to have an effect. But, again, getting people to use this stuff, right? So that comes down to feeling comfortable with wallets in general. And I'm glad that EOS Links has done such a great job with getting people to be comfortable, I think, on the slow side. I will mention this again. I think I mentioned it last week on here. The fiat on-ramps. That's the space where I feel is, obviously so important for people to get to, being able to purchase directly into either directly into EOS or purchase directly into, maybe IQ or another token underneath. That's always been the problem. The joke about the ICOs where there was a video that's hilarious about Lemon Coin. You want lemonade, you have to buy lemon coin. To buy lemon coin, you have to get approved for an exchange to buy Ethereum. Once you buy Ethereum, you can buy lemon coin, but you need Ethereum to send lemon coin, and it's all kind of a pain in the ass. Yeah. Right. I've seen a lot better fiat on-ramps, especially over the last couple months. There's one actually we went through a demonstration with recently for MoonPay. MoonPay, I'm not sure if you're familiar with who they are. It's a wallet. It's a fantastic little wallet, but you have the ability to buy in to whatever it is on the wallet with a credit card transaction.
Okay.
So that's starting to move forward. I was also, we're big fans and friends of Carbon Pay around here. Sam Troutwine is a friend of mine, and really appreciate the work he's doing. I was on a call with him this last week with a service provider. That is able to do that provide that service for him. Okay. So ultimately, I wanted to test it out with Sam and Carbon to see whether or not this provider was going to really be able to provide. Now, the provider is, one of the largest high-risk transaction providers in the world. They have exits to 142 different countries. Okay. Like in the traditional banking system. That's great. Yeah, so it's a really interesting thing. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the results on that, see if it goes. Because if it does, we're looking to be able to slip these things into anyone's application. Someone should be able to go to Everpedia and buy IQ directly, and make that easy.
Just like a Square, little thing where you just pop it into your site and anyone can use it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Being able to buy directly for whatever site it is. I mean, that's again the whole idea of a token utility is being able to potentially buy the tokens to use the utility directly from whatever service it is that you're trying to access. Yeah. Right.
Instead of going through USD to Bitcoin, Bitcoin to EOS, EOS to IQ, which is currently the path.
Exactly. And that's not very fun of a path. If I can provide a little bit of code on your site that allows you to accept credit cards, and yes, there might be a high-risk transaction fee that is associated with it. So your transaction fee probably will be somewhere near 5%. But when you look at the current cost for, say, Bitcoin ATMs, the fee is a lot more to get in. So looking at a couple of those things, want to see those things get resolved, but I'd love to see some direct to utility credit card ability for people to start using. And then the opposite as well. If you're on the site, if you're on Everpedia and you've got a bunch of IQ and boy, you need to go purchase a meal or whatever it is that you need to do, being able to transfer that out in a way that you do similar to Square or Circle.
Someone needs to build a super simple like cash out to Venmo option, like where the cash out is in, like Venmo, you can send an instant transaction. If you send a Bitcoin to a specific address, you should be able to get somebody sending you a Venmo transaction back to another address, like to your Venmo account. Instant cash outs.
But well, I don't know about the Venmo side of things, but I know
it's probably illegal.
I know it's probably illegal, but I know I can do it on the credit card side.
Okay.
Right. So that's part of that provided
chargeback.
Not a chargeback, because a chargeback again is a function of invalid transaction, but literally the same way that you are able to in the other credit card transactions like Circle and the other ones that are able to get you cash into a debit card that you're able to immediately spend. Mm-hmm. You're able to do that on system as well, right? So being able to send it back into a credit card that you've or a debit card that you've put on the system. So those are coming, and those will be here really, really soon. I'll introduce you to the guys as well. And I wanted to go through this with Sam first, and we did that last week, and we'll see where that goes. But for me, it's being able to go and get them excited. I mean, imagine if CryptoKitties site, you could have had people go directly to buy CryptoKitties, or buy whatever it was that we're going to be able to allow them to use, the markets there. The gaming markets that are starting to come out. People are going to want to be able to purchase these NFTs, and they're going to want to be able to purchase, whatever they are immediately from a credit card transaction.
Yeah,
right?
instant. You don't want to wait like 2 days.
Right. So excited to see some of those things come up. If anyone out there has any questions about direct credit card processing, feel free to hit us up here at LibertyBlock. Something that we're helping people walk onto. Excited to do it. Excited about this prediction market. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll find exactly what we're going to be gambling on here for the first. You don't call it gambling, then what do we call it?
Predicting.
Predicting. What we're going to be predicting in the next couple of weeks. It's pretty exciting. Other than that, we'll be back here next week. This is a pretty light week this week, and we'll figure out what we're talking about next week sometime soon. Thank you for joining us here at the Town Hall. If you have any questions, come join us on our Telegram at t.me/EOS Town Hall. Same with YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll catch up with you guys sometime soon. Have a good one.
See you guys.